one of the more curious things about it is that on one side it's a gas engine. It has a magneto carburetor and spark plugs on this side. And after it warms up, you start it on gas. After it gets nice and warm, you switch it over to diesel. And on this side, it's got fuel injectors. So it's a very curious design for an engine. I always like it. And it's 42 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's about the right amount of horsepower for the saw I've got. The saw is a 42-inch saw, and for larger saws, they go up to 60 inches. And then you get these big diesel engines to run those things. But we went and looked at one of these Detroit diesels. I think it was a 471 or something like that. And just listening to it run was frightening.
Yeah.
You know,
Get out of
it would
control.
tear my little plate all to pieces. I had the feeling. So.
So you, excuse me, do you have to decide the size tree you're going to cut to fit your
Pretty
saw?
much, yeah. Like that big oak tree there.
Uh-huh.
That's going to be a challenge. I have to slab it off and make it smaller so I can actually saw it. Yeah, I've sawed 15-inch wide boards, which is about as wide as that one
Wow.
Brian got, I think, the other day. So,
That's 12 inch.
but that's a pretty big board.
So you'll do that though, slab it off on with this
Yeah.
saw? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That'll saw on this
How
saw.
do
If
you
it
get
small
that?
enough so the saw will go through. You know.
How do you get something that's got to weigh a ton?
Yeah.
How do you get that? How do you maneuver that?
Well,
around?
that's a real
That's
good
what
question.
we're here for.
One of the beauties of this sawmill setup is that the deck, where you get the logs onto the mill,
Right.
the deck is exactly positioned so the logs roll right up on the carriage. You don't have to do any lifting or anything. So that's a big
You just got to
advantage.
get a good
Putting
roll
it here.
going. Wow.
This is exactly where a smokehouse, or not a smokehouse, tobacco smokehouse was at one time.
Right here.
Right in here, yeah. So that's a big advantage of that design.
Yeah.
How you get the logs on the sawmill, on the carriage.
So you can pull them by mule or horse team.
What's that now?
I guess you would pull them by mule, horse team, whatever.
Oh yeah, no
power, or maybe you use a tractor.
Your wife and your
A lot
daughter?
of people have
Yeah.
front end loaders and lift
We
them up
do
and
it.
put them on the mill, on the carriage. You know, it's a lot of work, and you need a lot more equipment than you would need otherwise. You know.
How do you personally do it, Nels?
Well, we drag them in with the tractor and put them there, and then take the cant hooks and roll it onto the bed, which is what we'll do with those smaller logs there, those pine logs. That's where we'll get them on there, saw them up.
With the tractor pulling.
We can just roll those on, but to get them over here, we pull them in. Yeah,
Right, but who rolls them? You?
Yeah.
People.
yeah, we roll.
Well, I mean,
With
that
that-
hook thing you're talking about has tremendous leverage.
Yeah, yeah.
So you get one of those on there, and you can
Yeah,
roll